Hey folks, Jim here, aka Pal of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week, before I jump into it, I just wanted to say, give an apology for basically missing this video on Wednesday. Not due to personal choice. I was working very hard all week doing the day job, and yeah, could not have possibly found the time to squeeze this in, just due to how many hours I've actually been doing, which is quite horrible and exhausting is probably the best way of describing it. So, not a lot of time for hobby stuff. Anyway, issue 23 is this week's issue. We have our Lord Aquila from the Stormcast Eternals range. You do have your option for, with most Stormcast Eternals, you can have it with without a helmet or with a helmet. Entirely up to you. I personally do like both of this model, and both look cool, pretty good. So I'm a little bit torn as to which one I'm going to do. But yeah, I'll decide eventually, I suppose. Into the issue we go though. First off, we're greeted by the NECROQUAKE. So the NECROQUAKE was a vast magical disaster that almost consumed the mortal realms. Only through courage and sheer chance were the living saved from utter annihilation. So, Nagash, the god of death, wants to slay all the living and enslave them in the afterlife. He schemes constantly to accomplish this, and never has he come closer to his ultimate goal than during the NECROQUAKE. This arcane calamity was the result of ritual years in the making, centered around a huge black pyramid of Sha'ishan realmstone. It was initially intended to draw the souls of the living into Shaiish, where they would belong to Nagash, but the intervention of the Skaven spoiled Nagash's plans. So, as you can imagine, the Skaven do get into places where they shouldn't really be and scupper a lot of things, and that is exactly what happened with the NECROQUAKE. So, with the Skaven kind of intervening inadvertently as well, because they didn't really know what they were doing, they yeah, scuppered some parts, stole some stuff, and yeah, the spell went wrong, and basically it just made the Nighthaunt a lot more potent. But yeah, it did quite well in some ways for Nagash, but also really ruined his original plans. So it is what it is. On the other side though, you do get information about the Sha'ishan idea and the Soul Wars. So the Soul Wars were kicked off by the NECROQUAKE itself, which was the catalyst for essentially the second edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. If you do get a chance, the novel The Soul Wars is actually really good. Worth reading, or if you have Audible, download it. But yeah, really cool, and definitely worth it. So not bad at all. We get a story. So we have VENOM. Alria Swiftwind may have driven the Oryx back, but what became of them after her reforging? As Alria trains in Azir for her next assignment, Golmrog City Etta faces challenges of his own. In this first installment of a new serialized story, follow the war from when I can learn to speak, from the bestial perspective of the Cruel Boys Oryx. So the story is going to follow the Cruel Boys. It is going to go from their perspective as well, and it will be serialized, so you will get more and more parts to this, and it will be an overarching story. I don't know how long this will go on for, but the way the other magazines have done it is they've had generally an issue or two of each story. This one, you never know, it could go on for the entirety of every story section for this magazine's run. You never know. They can do stuff like that if they wish to, which isn't too bad though. On the other page though, we get our Lord Aquila page, so obviously you can do the hero traits and origins and such like, and you do get to see a bit of it with the helmet on or without the helmet. And obviously this is a Vanguard auxiliary on Griff Charger, which is always really cool, and they do look pretty damn good. So a really nice one. You also get to choose the name as well for your Lord Aquila, so which is always really good fun. I do really like naming units, and you know, sometimes I use online generators, sometimes I use the tables that the magazine provides, but they're really good fun. It's quite interesting. And we get our build guide. So our build guide, in all honesty, it's generally kind of easy. There are quite a few parts to it, and you will need glue for it, but it's not too bad. It's a pretty good build. It's relatively easy in parts. Yeah, just follow the guide. You're not going to go wrong with it. I'm absolutely sure of it. And when you're done, you're going to have a really cool looking unit for your tabletop, for your Stormcast Eternals to kind of help out and lead and follow behind and everything like that. But yeah, makes it pretty cool, pretty interesting, and I say, just a nice all-round model, isn't it, that one? Then you get your paint guide. So your paint guide, they're going to tell you go with good old Corax White as an undercoat for the Griff Charger, gold for your using Retributor armor for the Stormcast Eternal. Your choice. You can paint these any colour you want if you want to. It is entirely your choice. You can go with that kind of white and then using something like Griff Charger Grey, which maybe or may or not be the way that they are going with this. You could utilise any colours you want. When you're done with your undercoating, you're going to look something like that. Then it's all your base coat layers, so your blues, your kind of other gold segments over things like that, Avalanche Sunset being used, Abaddon Black, and much more. When you're done, you're going to have a very, very nice looking model. Now, the one thing they have done, and I had a weird feeling they probably would, they've used Griff Charge Grey over the entirety of the model. Large flat areas with contrast paint don't always work very well. Now, if you're utilising too much contrast paint, it'll pull up, it'll look patchy, and it'll look a bit weird, and it's, yeah, a little bit rubbish. Over small intricate areas like the feathers, perfect, brilliant stuff. It goes on lighter over the raised areas, it goes on darker into the recesses. If you do it over everything, it will look something like that, and I personally don't quite like it. I think it looks a bit rough, doesn't look quite as neat as it could be. You can make it look absolutely fantastic and change its complexion entirely and make it stand out like there's no tomorrow. I do like how the box art kind of style is, the heavy metal one, with the kind of the grey blue talons and the ends of the tail, and even around the beak. Looks really nice though, personally. I think that's the way it should look, or similar to it, or if you want to go darker, you can go darker. If you want to go lighter, you can go lighter. Your choice. But I'm not keen on that myself, and I will change how mine looks. Mine will be a very different colour scheme in the end, when I get around to it at some point. Otherwise though, you get your War Scroll. So your War Scroll for the Lord Aquila, obviously he's pretty tough, 8 wounds, move of 12 inches, 9 bravery, and a 3+ save, which is always really cool to see. And you get some tutorial as well, so the Ride the Winds Etheric as well, so which can utilise a bit of a further movement and a faster movement. And then we have our battle. So our battle, utilising your Lord Aquila, Stormstrike Chariot, 5 Vindictors, Xandire's Truth Seekers, and a Knight Arcanum, going up against Killer Boss with Stab Grot, Swamp Caller Shaman with Pot Grot, 10 Gut Rippers, 10 Hobgrot Slitters, and 1 Marsh Crawler Slogoff. Is a pretty nice battle. Now, definitely worth having a try of that one because you're using quite a few units. It gets them out there. Really decent. It's not too bad. And genuinely, yeah, should be fairly straightforward. Yeah, you shouldn't have a problem. Not much to say about that one in all honesty. But otherwise though, next week we get our first of the Gloomspite Gits. We get the Loon Boss. We'll also get rules regarding heroic actions. And then in issue 25, Azurite Fountain, Armies of Chaos, we get information about them, and exploring the realm of Ulgu, the realm of Shadow, and yeah, bit of stuff like that. Not bad, it's pretty decent, it should be really good. This issue didn't seem to be as long as others, there didn't seem to be as much information in there. You had the NECROQUAKE, a story, and then your Lord Aquila page. Sometimes some issues seem to be jam-packed with bits and pieces, some seem to be a little bit smaller, and this is one of the ones that seems to be a little bit smaller. But we are getting into Gloomspite Gits territory, which are really fun, really bright, colourful, kind of crazy characters, which should be really, really good, especially for Orc players, or if you just want to have good old grots and have a shed load of grots. This will be really, really good fun for you, and yeah, definitely worth it. So happy days. With that said though, thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you this Wednesday for issue 24. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye now.